It's February and Valentine's Day is fast approaching, the time of year to celebrate love and relationships and romance. But not, as this Colgate advertisement from the 1930s explains, if you have halitosis or bad breath. Here we see Anne receiving what was known as a comic valentine, or a mean-spirited valentine meant for someone you didn't like. The valentine tells Anne she has bad breath. Anne is devastated and laments to her mother that no one likes her anymore. Her mother urges her to go see her dentist, who tells her to use Colgate. The result is that Anne becomes popular and all the, quote, fellows want to dance with her. All thanks to Colgate, of course. Now this ad uses a couple different techniques to convince consumers to buy Colgate. It uses a human interest story to attract and sway the emotions of readers. It uses Anne as a protagonist and consumer surrogate, whose problems and emotions might be relatable to many young people. It uses Anne's mother to represent a trusted friend and confidant, giving her advice. It uses Anne's dentist, Dr. Jenkins, to provide an expert testimonial. But mostly it uses fear and shame. Fear of making a bad first impression, fear of being unpopular, fear of missing out on love, all because of your bad breath. Luckily, Colgate had the solution. Simply buy and use its toothpaste, and your bad breath and problems would go away. And Colgate wasn't the first or only dental products company to use this tactic. According to Roland Marchand in his book, Advertising the American Dream, Listerine applied this style of advertising for its mouthwash. The company even resurrected an old term to describe the problem of bad breath, halitosis. Halitosis had a, quote, scientific sound, and thus took out some of the coarseness out of a discussion of bad breath. Listerine's approach was so successful, it became known as halitosis appeal, or using fear to sell a product. And halitosis became the inspiration for dozens of ailments, which could cause consumers to feel shame and miss out on potentially life-altering opportunities. Many of these advertisements centered on young people and love, but fear of a bad impression was also applied to the workplace. In this ad from 1939, we see Trudy furious after finding out her coworker Polly makes $40 a week. Trudy is paid less, despite doing the same quality of work as Polly. Polly confides to Trudy that she should go see her dentist about her breath. Trudy takes her advice and goes to the dentist, who, of course, prescribes Colgate dental cream. Fast forward, and Trudy has a promotion and higher pay. The message is reiterated in the advertisement's tagline: bad breath keeps success away. Play safe, use Colgate twice a day. And these ads were convincing, maybe a little too convincing. Colgate's advertising told consumers that it had a special penetrating foam, which gets into every tiny crevice, emulsifying and washing away those food and acid deposits that cause bad breath. At the same time, Colgate's soft, safe polishing agent gently yet thoroughly cleans and brightens enamel, making your teeth sparkle, gives new brilliance to your smile. Now, this simply was not true. According to the American Dental Association, there could be many causes for bad breath. These causes did include food deposits, but food deposits were not the sole cause. Similarly, toothpaste alone may not brighten and make teeth sparkle. Bright teeth were dependent on the quality of the overall enamel to begin with. Lastly, as far as the American Dental Association could tell, there was nothing about Colgate's formula that differed significantly from any other toothpaste. Certainly not a special penetrating foam that emulsified and washed away food and acid deposits. In 1930, Colgate had been given the American Dental Association's seal of approval, but just 4 years later, the brand was stripped of that approval for their misleading advertising. The American Dental Association was particularly annoyed that Colgate had a dentist character make these inaccurate claims, and they worried that consumers might think that Colgate alone would take care of their teeth and dismiss the need for regular visits to the dentist. As it turns out, they weren't the only ones who were annoyed. The Federal Trade Commission, or F.T.C., had also been paying close attention to Colgate's ads. The F.T.C. is the agency responsible for monitoring false or misleading advertising. In the 1940s, the F.T.C. filed multiple complaints against Colgate, leading the brand to discontinue making such claims as, "Most bad breath begins with the teeth," And a safe, sure way to correct bad breath is through the regular use of the thorough cleansing action provided by the special ingredient in Colgate dental cream, and that Colgate could prevent decay or make your teeth sparkle. By the 1960s and 1970s, Colgate and other dental products companies had begun shifting their approach. Although themes of romance and bad breath persisted, companies placed a greater emphasis on preventing cavities and tooth decay and whitening teeth. At the same time, the number of people who brushed their teeth and visited the dentist was rising, something which some dentists, perhaps begrudgingly, attributed to advertising. C.J. Hollister wrote in the Journal of the American Dental Association, "The public is becoming more and more tooth conscious. In large measure, this is due to commercial advertising. Some of these campaigns have been promoted in a manner above criticism. Some have been very questionable in character. Regardless of the motive, there is no question that people are today very much tooth-minded." Being tooth-minded meant that there were fewer people suffering from halitosis. If this 1930s Colgate ad is accurate, 76% of people over the age of 17 had bad breath. Today, the brand's website puts that number at closer to 25 to 50%, with less than an estimated 20% of Americans predicted to have chronic halitosis. So although halitosis hasn't gone away, increasing levels of dental hygiene mean it's not perceived as big of a problem as advertisers made it seem in the 1920s and 1930s. But Colgate's recommendation to brush your teeth before you go on a date certainly still seems like good advice. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this look back at toothpaste advertising from the 1930s. A lot of the ads from Colgate and Listerine reminded me of how Q-Tex convinced Americans to manicure their nails using fear of social peril. So if you like this video, you may find that one interesting as well. And if you did like this video, please consider subscribing to my channel below for more history about companies and their products and brands. Thank you again, and I'll see you next time.